I hope you're settled in because we could be living how we are now for at least another month. Yesterday, President Donald Trump extended social distancing guidelines in an effort to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Those guidelines now in place through April 30th. However, Louisiana's stay-at-home order is supposed to end April 13th, but Governor John Bel Edwards says that could also be extended depending on reports at that time. We will be hearing from him this afternoon at 3 o'clock. We will bring you that live right here on Channel 4. In his news conference yesterday, the governor urged people to follow the stay-at-home mandate, while New Orleans city leaders and the NOPD say they will continue to come down on those who don't. The NOPD says it's received more than 300 calls in the last week for unlawful gatherings. One of them included this repast service on Saturday. Police have filed an arrest warrant for one person involved and a summons for another. Officials say the second line broke CDC guidelines, a state order, and Mayor LaToya Cantrell's city order. NOPD Superintendent Sean Ferguson has a stern message for those not following the rules.
We should not be put in a position to have to ask you to be responsible for your own self. Right now, we are all we are all at risk. We have to think about the rest of the community and not just ourselves as to how can we all get through this together. The second line, or a repass as they will call it, is not the answer right now.
New Orleans officials want you to report any large gatherings or businesses that are not following the stay-at-home order. You can do that by calling 311. Another large gathering gaining attention for not following the guidelines. The Life Tabernacle Church near Baton Rouge. Around 500 people attended a service yesterday. Church officials say they're not forcing people to attend and they're not breaking laws by holding the services. But the governor says that people who violate the ban are being selfish and irresponsible by increasing the chances of spreading the virus. New at noon, here are the latest coronavirus case numbers in the state of Louisiana. They were just released. There's now 4,025 cases and 185 deaths. That's a jump of about 500 cases and 30 more deaths since yesterday. Cases are being reported in 59 of the state's 64 parishes. Right now, 1,158 people are hospitalized. 385 of those are on ventilators. By the end of the week, the Morial Convention Center will open its doors to take in coronavirus patients if hospitals need relief. 1,000 beds will fill the center with the capacity to add more if necessary. The transformation is under construction right now and will include individual rooms and nursing stations. Officials tell us the convention center will not be used for patients who need ventilators or placed in ICU. It's only for patients who need some treatment, but they're expected to be released soon.
What we're doing here is very, very important. But if we don't bend this curve, it's still likely that some people are not going to have a bed who need a bed.
Patients will not report to the convention center. They'll be transferred from New Orleans hospitals. Across the street from the convention center, another facility will be used to house up to 250 patients under investigation, meaning they have symptoms, but they have not yet received a positive test result. Happening now, grab-and-go meals are available again for students in St. Tammany Parish. Megan Key is there and brings us more. Megan?
Yes, Leslie, crews have converted this Slidell High School parking lot into a drive-through for parents to pick up hot meals for their children, now stuck at home in quarantine instead of at school. Now, this kicked off at around 11 o'clock this morning, and you can already see the line that's here. We're told that it actually wraps around the block a little bit. So many people waiting for these pickup meals. Grab-and-go meals resumed today for St. Tammany Parish Public Schools after the program shut down for a week to find alternative ways to get foods to students in the wake of this pandemic. The school system is now partnering with local food distribution companies who are providing the food, preparing it in their company kitchens, and bringing it to the school to be distributed. Hot breakfast and lunch meals will be available for pickup Mondays through Fridays at Covington High School and Slidell High School between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. There's also an option that allows families to pick up a box of meals for the week on Wednesdays. That's happening each Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 6 other high schools and 2 junior high schools in the area. St. Tammany Parish schools want to be there for families during this tough time.
it's almost half of our students who rely on free and reduced lunch on a regular basis. And we know that with these changing times, that number could certainly be increased, because if people are out of jobs, if their income is cut in half, or any other type of circumstance happens, we know that they may be in need as well. And that's why we really wanted to provide this service.
Well, both meal options are open to any St. Tammany Parish Public Schools student, and the student doesn't even have to be here to get that meal. The parent simply just has to drive up, explain how many students they have, and they'll be given those meals, and they don't need an ID card as well to pick up the meals. Reporting live in Slidell, Megan Key, Eyewitness News.
Megan, thank you very much. We're glad that's back up and running. Now let's take a moment to look at some global case numbers for COVID-19. There are now nearly 750,000 cases in the world, with more than 35,000 deaths in the United States. More than 145,000 cases have been reported, around 2,600 deaths. Again, the White House's original 15-day social distancing guidelines have been extended in an attempt to flatten the curve. Natalie Brand has more.
President Trump is postponing his goal of reopening the economy in 2 weeks. He now says social distancing guidelines will be extended until at least the end of April.
I said it would be a great thing if we could do it by Easter, and we know much more now than we knew 2-3 weeks ago. Easter should be the peak number, and it should start coming down, and hopefully very substantially from that point.
Medical experts on the coronavirus task force say they convinced President Trump pulling back from social distancing now could generate another spike.
We had some intensive conversations with him, and we convinced him. He listened, and we said the better part of valor would be to extend them until the end of April, when we think it would peak and start coming down.
And they warn even cities with relatively few cases could still be hit hard.
We want every place in the United States prepared for that. So it's critical that even if you don't see it, it could be circulating in your community.
The president says he now hopes to see the U.S. on its way to recovery by June 1st. But the more immediate goal now is to make sure hospitals have the critical medical equipment they need.
The president suggested supplies being sent to hospitals aren't making it to the front lines.
Where are the masks going? Are they going out the back door?
The former head of the Strategic National Stockpile tells CBS News the government's public health emergency medical supplies are limited.
The Strategic National Stockpile is that very last lifeline. It doesn't have everything and unlimited resources that people would like it to have.
President Trump is now using the Defense Production Act to order General Motors to ramp up production of ventilators. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Stocks opened flat on Monday, but investors are expecting another volatile trading day. Right now, the Dow is up over 450 points. That's fantastic news. Of course, the market has been closely tied to the health crisis and the president's decision to extend social distancing guidelines. And as the nation continues to react to the virus, Florida and Texas have implemented a travel order for those coming from New Orleans. The Texas governor expanded a previous one yesterday. Now both states require anyone flying or driving from anywhere in the state of Louisiana to self-quarantine for 14 days.